Heart. We opened the garden in 2010, and now the garden that you will walk later is one of the very unique gardens in Europe. It's very unique for two reasons. First, is the first garden that specialized in Europe, specialized in fruit trees, spices, herbs, and medical plants. Not in greenhouses, outside. And second, is very unique for the rich variety of plants. In this garden, we grow plants from 3 different climate zones, from tropical, subtropical, and alpine zone. To understand what I mean, why we do that, in a flat area of Chania, now you are coming, in a valley of Chania, we cultivate citrus. You have seen many citrus plants. The last years, we cultivate mangoes, avocado, lychee, guava, chirimoya, plants that comes from a tropical zone, because these plants grow in a tropical environment. Grow here very well without protection at the winter time. That means it's a tropical zone. Little upper, we see olive trees, if you see over there in the mountains. You will see olive trees. That means Mediterranean zone. Suddenly, the olive trees stop to grow and start alpine zone. We see 3 different climate zones in a small piece of land. Tropical, subtropical, alpine zone. That is not so usual in this planet, to exist 3 different climate zones in a so small piece of land. This is related with the geographical position of the island. Put the world map in your mind. Where is located Crete? Between 3 continents, Africa, Europe, Asia. We're exactly in the middle. The high mountains, the morphology generally, create a microclimate that helps to grow a very, very rich variety of plants. We see that in a garden. Mangoes, lychee, grow with apple trees at the same point. It's amazing. In the garden is about it's a path about 2.5 kilometers. It's a cycling path. It's divided in sections. The first section is a tropical, after walk in Mediterranean, many citrus sections, cherry section, wine section. In the middle of the garden there is a small, like a zoo, and some farm animals from Mediterranean area. And the garden now is an ecosystem. We don't use chemicals. We use the way of cultivations of permacultura, and everything is recycling. Everything is planted in stone walls, and everything is in totally harmony and in a balance, as before chemicals and monoculture. Chemicals and monoculture have created the biggest problems in nature. Everything survives without problems, in a harmony. The other thing that we do here is the whole project is supported from a restaurant. A restaurant that we try to promote to support the local economy and to promote the philosophy of Crete diet. I don't know if you have heard something about Crete diet, or you know, have you heard something about Crete diet? You know what is Crete diet? Crete diet, many scientists, many specialists say Crete diet belongs to Mediterranean diet. Some other people say Mediterranean diet belongs to Crete diet. I don't know what is true, but there are many differences from the Mediterranean diet. And it's a philosophy, it's a way of thinking. To understand why it's a philosophy and way of thinking, I'm going to explain to you the reasons. Crete diet is based in 5 characteristics. The first is the olive oil. We consume high quantities of olive oil in this island. Many visitors, when leave Crete, say Cretans swim in olive oil. To understand what I mean, in one family, in our days, in the village this here, around of the garden, can consume more than 300 liters olive oil per year, almost 1 liter per day. We consume high quantities of olive oil. We get in a daily energy mostly from olive oil. It's very cheap for us. We produce and we have our own olive oil, but we consume high quantities of olive oil. Second, local and seasonal ingredients. In our days, we don't know what is local and what is seasonal. As I said to you before, we visit supermarket and we find everything from around the world. People who follow this way of thinking, they eat locally and seasonally. Three, vegetables, legumes, fruits, and wild greens. You know, everything that grow wild here is edible for us, and we eat it. Many people, visitors say again, when Cretans eat almost everything, and they say another thing, when donkeys start to eat Cretans. What means? Because we eat almost the roots of the most of the plants. Why we eat all these kind of things? Wild greens, for instance. For 1,000 years, from Minoan period, you know about Minoan civilization. After Minoan civilization, Crete were occupied from Romans, after Arabs, Venetians, Turks, Ottomans. We were under control of all of these for 1,000 years people. We were very poor people. We should to survive. For surviving reasons, we used to eat everything that grow and give us the Cretan rich soil. The last 100 years, we are independent and we belong to Mother Greece. 4. In reality, in Creta diet, there are not recipes because we didn't care about recipes. The only thing that we had in our mind is to find something to eat. And 5, a glass of wine in each lunch and dinner. Just a glass, not more, not less. These 5 characteristics are based Creta, the philosophy of Creta diet. Olive oil, local and seasonal ingredients, a lot of vegetables, legumes, fruits and wild greens, not recipes, and 1 glass of wine. We can create dishes from simple ingredients that we can find from our garden or from nature. The wine that you are tasting now comes from endemic variety of grapes that grow only in the west part of Crete, in this area, only here. It's a wine that has a unique taste and it's good to taste it. Maybe you will not like it, but it's good to taste it. Romeico. We call it Romeico. Yeah. This way of diet, this philosophy, we still keep it. We still keep it more in the villages, less in the cities. More the older generations, less the younger generations. But we still keep it. The modern way of life, as everywhere, has influenced us. But we still keep it. The other thing that we do here, we support the local economy, as I said to you before, in a point that you see with the products. We support the small producers that comes only from the area, and we don't have in our restaurant except coffee and sugar international products, only local, everything that produce the area. Manousos is the chef of the restaurant here. He is going to prepare to us something that comes from Creta diet, a dish that we cook it very, very often, mostly in a daily time, that has name but doesn't have recipe. We call it sibetherio. Sibetherio in a Greek language means when 2 people get married, two different families connected together. This connection, we call it symbetheriό. Today we have these products that comes most from our garden, some vegetables and fruits. Fruits are vegetables for us, and we mix it with vegetables, and we create food.
We also use the peel of the orange, since as Petros said before, it's all biological. We don't use chemicals, so we are not afraid to use it as it is. And we need all this flavor that we get, the citrus flavor from the skin. As also he said before, we don't have strict recipes. So this, I will make it like this with this vegetable that you see right now, but in a couple of months it will be quite different because we use seasonal vegetables and herbs. So it will be very different from this. I already put potato, eggplant, we have pear, orange.
How do you keep bugs penetrating the vegetables and the fruit?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
How do you keep insects and bugs from eating the vegetables?
You can't. You try to do it either with natural ways. I don't know, there are some kind of, I'm not an expert, but the gardeners know like a few tricks maybe to keep most of them. But in reality you don't want to kill anything, because all this is like balance of life. Everything like exists for a purpose. Like this, probably like, you know, worms, they keep feeding the birds, that the birds are maybe feeding something else, or they're doing something useful to the plants. Or like, you know, like bees exist. They exist for a reason, like to, you know, to gather the seeds from one plant to another, and you know, all plants, and then, you know, yeah, the pollen, sorry, yeah, the pollen. So this is like a cycle. We don't need to kill anything. We are trying to do what Petros said. We are trying to like keep everything in balance and not ruin it. And it's a perfect small example. The garden is a small example of all this balance that we're trying to keep.
Nature has the way to bring the balance, and everything is created with a way that every plant supports the other. The good insects eat the bad insects and created the balance. If you leave nature without to disturb it alone, they will find a way to be in harmony and in health. That we have seen here in a garden.
Do you smell anything up there?
A little.
Yeah, because I mean, as soon as you started peeling and slicing things, I got all this amazing smell from the vegetables. Beautiful.
Ναι, πώς κρατάμε και καλά μακριά τα ζωήφια, ας πούμε, και τα...
Μα τα θέλουμε.
Ναι, αυτό ακριβώς της εξήγησε, ότι το καλύτερο θα ήταν να τα
what
κρατάμε όλα.
these are the zucchini flowers.
Είναι όλος αυτός ο κύκλος της ζωής.
Έτσι, μπράβο.
We have zucchini flower here. Flowers, maybe you haven't seen them before.
Το βάλω από το λάδι.
Ό,τι θέλετε, ναι.
Ένας γάμος έγινε εδώ και αυτό θα το πηγαίνω. Γίνεται καμία φορά τελετής γάμου. Και προχθές έγινε ένα πάρτι εδώ το βράδυ και είχαν φέρει DJ και χορεύαμε μέχρι τις 4 ώρα το πρωί.
They also organize, you know, weddings and christenings, so that's why there is a little bit of glass on the ground. They were celebrating.
That's what's up.
You can use various herbs, and the herbs that you prefer also. Here we have Mediterranean basil, wild thyme, and mint. but it also depends on your inspiration. Maybe you like some other herbs, alternative. Maybe you can use rosemary, for example, or sage. It's on you, inspiration and what you have seasonal.
Little sea salt. I'm going to show you how the people who follow this way of cooking, how use olive oil. In all over the world, people use olive oil with this way. Is that true? In Crete, we use olive oil with this way. Like a water. It's amazing. The meat is not so important in our diet. In my village, people used to eat meat only one time per week, Sundays. But we still keep it, not as the previous years. But we still keep, and Crete diet, it's a way of thinking, it's a philosophy. I would like to thank you for your attention. I don't know if you have any other question. And the last information about the garden. The garden is not small. The garden is not flat. If someone of you have walking problems, please stay here in the balcony. The rest of the people, you can follow Amalia. Is going to be first, just for one reason, to control the time to be back, because you don't have spent plenty of time in the garden. You will not see all the garden. You will see one of the more than the half garden, and it's going to be a good experience for you if you like nature. Have a good walk. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks.